Hi everyone, I am Alien Kitty, and I want to talk about my review about Phoenix Comic Fest, formerly known as Phoenix Comic Con, and now for next year they're going to be called Phoenix Fan Fusion. Now, I've been vending at this event, I think, for at least 4 to 5 years, as far as I can tell from my records. And I just kind of wanted to go over just some things that I noted this year that was obviously different from last year. Many of you might be aware of the news incident with last year with a certain someone wanting to assassinate and hurt people. He was obviously caught, but because of it last year they had to scramble to fix some problems. Many of those problems were resolved this year, I think, though I will admit it felt like I was going through Disneyland 2.0 with the security lines, the bag checks, and of course the wanding/metal detectors. It wasn't too bad, unless of course you were like me on the first day and I slept in and I had to run in at 9:30 for a 10 a.m. opening, though to be honest, people didn't really kind of wander down until around 11. Again, I've been doing conventions for quite a while now. Unlike in previous years, my mother actually used to only come down to play in the pool, but this year she decided to work the convention. So that meant I had to come down one day early. So instead of coming down on Thursday, I came down on Wednesday. I did that in the past where I had done it on Wednesday, and I just realized that the cost for the extra hotel night didn't really equate to that much more in sales. However, my mom paying for the extra hotel room for the extra night because she had to be there for orientation, I thought, hey, why not? So definitely it's a different experience going there from Wednesday afternoon versus Thursday when everyone's scrambling before pre-opening. They consider Thursday to be 0 day. It's basically day 0. It's the pre-show for people to kind of come down and see it after hours. It typically runs from like 5 to like 9 o'clock at night, which if you've been up all day, set up your table, it's a draining experience to say the least. So having somebody who worked the convention, I was able to kind of get the logistics and behind the scenes stuff for the convention. This year my mom had gotten an email from the con chair himself expressing some concern for this year's event. Mainly that it would be a lower attendance numbers, mostly because from the pre-sales they hadn't sold as much, and they hadn't given away as nearly as many free passes for Thursday as they had in prior years. With that and the drop of a lot of exhibitors and other issues, including the looming debt they were kind of getting themselves into for paying for the huge security costs. Overall, we were myself and a lot of other artists were concerned, especially when I told them about these little facts. Though, to be honest, Thursday actually wasn't that bad for sales once again. I think it's because of the fact is that there wasn't many panels and they couldn't get autographs that people were kind of forced to shop. And it was kind of nice to see, income and flow of money. But once Friday rolled around, of course, everyone was going to get their autographs, everyone was going to go upstairs to the free events, and that's when the, fun trials begin of a convention and making money. One thing I will say is that at every convention you're going to run across people that love to cosplay and wear costumes. I am not against people wearing costumes. By all means, wear what you love. I used to love cosplaying when I was younger. However, getting older and just not wanting to wear contacts and the wig and realize I'm going to be down there for 8 to possibly 12 hours, that I just cannot wear a wig and costume for that long period of time. I'd rather be comfortable over somebody saying, oh, you look cute. Now, I did see quite a lot of people in cosplay. Again, stated that it's a Comic-Con, so you're going to see the Star Wars people, you're going to see the Star Trek people, you're going to see the obscure comics, so many Deadpools. My friend even started doing a bingo kind of thing and even told me I should start doing a bingo card for Deadpool, which I probably will in the future for conventions. But there was particularly a couple people that I just could not believe that they walked out the house saying, I look good today. I know there's a whole body shaming thing and people saying love yourself, but I have to take a step back and say, do you love yourself maybe too much? What I mean by that is basically the fact is, if you are overweight or if you have a little extra flab here and there, again, I'm not against you, it's just that realize that people are going to see you and people will judge. I hate to say it, we all judge. I people watch all the time. I used to with my dad. So when I saw this one woman, I kid you not, she was basically just a bra and I'm guessing like thongs, and her stomach was like a giant beach ball. I saw her and I couldn't help but look over at her for a split second while I returned my eyes back to my customers, and I told my friend later saying, I don't know what she was cosplaying. It looked like she was basically just wearing a bra and underwear with boots. I don't know what character it was, and I assume the character probably wears like just a bra or a top. But again, if I'm not saying you have to have the perfect body type, but if you're that overweight to the point where you're as round as a beach ball, maybe you shouldn't be cosplaying. I'll probably get some flack from someone saying you should love everybody and blah blah blah. Look, I'm slightly overweight myself. My heart doctor and my doctor have both told me, yeah, you're overweight. And it's sad. I'm not that overweight. I'm about maybe like 10 pounds overweight, 15 pounds at most. So I'm not saying I'm perfect either, but at the same time, I know that I'm not going to cosplay a character like from the Land of the Illustrious where they are super skinny looking, and I know for a fact if I wore a costume anything like that, I have big thighs. It would be obvious that I don't belong to that fandom, or at least that cosplay. So I would just say, if anything, maybe try to stick to what you look like. I hate saying that, or just try to eat healthier just a tiny bit, because you really shouldn't be that overweight. And there, of course, there are always the overweight guys that would come up, the gamers, typical gamer guys that have the pot bellies or the beer guts that go down to their, to their knees. And there were a few creepy, I did catch one guy taking a photo of a girl and her friend cosplaying from a little bit of a far away. They weren't posing or anything, they were just talking. I looked over, he took a picture and he kind of ran off, and he didn't get like a perverted shot or anything, but just kind of weirdness. So anyway, back to the convention. Like I said, it was an okay convention. I actually have looked over my numbers, and I've actually done better this year than I did in previous years. So even with the debacle from last year and the security thing and everything else, I've actually done pretty well. My only complaint was, unfortunately, the one night when my friend was able to come down because he had to work. He came down Saturday to help me out a little bit and bring some extra stuff. I gave him my extra badge. At the end of the artist alley, which closed around 7, there was a panel at 7:30 I wanted to go to, so it was perfect. We closed my shop like 10 minutes early, headed out, fought the crowds, get back upstairs to find Mr. Creepypasta and his panel. I like listening to the horror stuff, and I had heard about him, so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to go to at least one panel, because again, I have to be at my table from about 9 till about 7, so anything I want to go to, I have to do it like right after the hall closes, or close my table early to hit. So we got to his panel pretty early. It was already filling up by the time 7:30 rolled around. It was already packed. Well, scratch, it wasn't 7:30 per se, about 7:20-ish. He decided to do some kind of skit he filmed, and he read off 2 funny stories, and he's a very good reader. I like listening to him. And my friend was like, wow, he actually is really good. And I kid you not, about 7:28, because I was playing Pokemon Go on my phone a little bit, he took a pause and he got his book out and said, okay, let's go to the horror stuff now. Let's get into the meat of the story. And I happened to look up at the fire alarm. I don't know why I looked up at the fire alarm, but I did. And the irony being, the moment I looked at the fire alarm, it did go off. I was stunned for a moment, realizing that suddenly the one thing I wanted to do was now going to be canceled, and we had to all leave the building. In years past, there have been people who have pulled the fire alarm. It was almost a on-running gag of people saying, when's someone going to pull the fire alarm at Comic-Con? And again, we hadn't had the fire alarm pulled in, I think, like 4 years, 3 to 4 years, so it'd been a while. My friend never even heard about this. And so we all kept going, who pulled it? So we all filed out, followed the huge crowds of people. We had to leave the building. We got out back to the streets. Again, people were yelling at us to keep moving, don't take pictures. And everyone kept pulling their phones out. And I hear everyone yelling on their cameras going, oh my god, we're evacuating the building, rah, rah, rah. The sad part was my mom was working the convention. She had to work until 8 o'clock at the registration on another building near the front. And so they couldn't hear the fire alarms. Fire alarms only went off inside the buildings. Apparently went off in both buildings. We didn't know this at the time. And so I sent her a text saying, hey, is everything okay? What's up? And she's like, oh, we don't know. I'm probably going to stay late. And so we eventually wandered all the way back over to my hotel, said, well, guess we're going to go to dinner early, put all my stuff away, got into my friend's car, and drove away from the area because I kind of wanted to eat away. throughout that, my mom sent me texts saying that pretty much, because she had to work so she had to stay extra from, supposed to get off around 8, she didn't get off until almost 10:30, 11 that night. I'm not kidding you. So pretty much they offered anyone who had a Saturday badge a free Sunday pass. They were trying to answer questions. People kept complaining, saying, well, when can we go back in? It wasn't the convention's fault. It was the convention center and the people who manufactured the fire alarm. So for that, I applaud the convention for trying best they could. But eventually the convention center said that nobody can get back in. So they just had to kind of say, well, oh well, till the next day. Next morning, thank God, no other fire alarm, no other issues. There were some people complaining here and there, people, saying, what do I get for free? And like they pointed out, if you had a Saturday badge, you got a free Sunday pass. If you already had a full event pass, you've already had 2 prior days of fun, and it'll last 3rd day. So you only lost like maybe a couple hours on your Saturday, which, to be honest, if you were there from opening at 9 to 7, that's a long-ass day. Even I was tired, and I was vending. So enough rambling, here are my final thoughts. So Phoenix now is going to be called Fan Fusion, has had its rough patches, its ups and downs. I've done the convention for about, I think, 5+ years now. I've moved around countless times in the artist alley. I've been in the same spot for the last, I believe, 2 years. It's a fun convention. It's a large convention. I've been at it at its smallest and at its largest when it was 100,000 plus. I've gone to several panels in the past of the big name celebrities and just for some fun fan ones. My mother has gone from just coming down to help me pay for the hotel and driving me to play in the pool to now physically working the convention. And even I'm contemplating that if I don't do too well in vending in the years to come, I may consider applying just to work it with her. They do pay after all. So overall, Phoenix, now Fan Fusion, is an interesting kind of hodgepodge menagerie of gaming and anime and comics in the hot Phoenix sun. It has a beautiful downtown life, though I will admit the parking in the hotels can be a little expensive, and the area itself for food-wise is very limited, and again, if you leave, you're probably not guaranteed your same parking spot back. So I'm Alien Kitty, I'm signing off.